Knowing that buffing and polishing the new 42 is going to be a giant job no matter what, it's kind of chalky and needs a lot of love and attention. Because of that, I searched for a new line of products to help me do that, and I'm going to introduce you to the ProMaxx suite, and I'm going to show you in this video how much it's going to make the boat shine. Alright, let's get to work. So the new to me Silverton 42 is in pretty good shape cosmetically. It's got a little bit of chalk, but definitely is in need of a good compounded wax. To start this process off, I'm going to go ahead and wash the boat, or at least one section of it, with this boat wash from ProMaxx, and get the ball rolling, and start on a small section here in the shade, and this is also the side next to the floating dock. And I'll at least easily be able to get some of here and up here standing on the dock, and I can stand up here and work my way around. See how much of the boat I can do while it's in the water, and eventually I'm gonna have to get it pulled out to finish the hull sides and everything. But I'm really excited to try these set of products and all the pads to go with it. Another thing that I want to point out about this line of products is that it is actually made in the USA. Right outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You don't really see products made in the USA anymore. And when you get a chance to support USA companies, here's your opportunity. Okay, so while I wash the boat here in hyperspeed, I'm going to take some time to do a voiceover and explain the products here and how I'm going to use them. Originally, I thought you went sequentially down the line from 0, 1, 2, and 3. 0 being the heavy-duty compound, number 1 being the repair gloss compound, number 2 being the protective polymer sealant, and number 3 the polish. So if you have a regularly maintained boat that isn't in any poor condition, you can just do number 1 course, the repair gloss compound, which actually by itself gives a pretty decent shine, and then you can go back over with the number 2, the protective polymer sealant. Now, since my boat needed a lot of love and I needed to bring it back to a finish where it just becomes maintenance instead of cutting aggressively every season, I ended up going over the entire boat with the repair gloss compound, or number 1, then doing the polish, number 3, over the entire boat, and then followed up by hand with the number 2 protective polymer sealant. That combination gave way to some very impressive results, which you'll see later in this video as I time-lapse me doing polishing and more polishing and more polishing on a labor of love to get this 42 Silverton looking absolutely gorgeous after all of this work. Now here's the part of the video where I'm going to get a lot of crap. Harbor Freight Special Dual Action Polisher. Believe it or not, a lot of people recommended this, and it's about 50 bucks. So when I inevitably drop it in the water, I will only cry a little bit. I was going to get the Milwaukee Dual Action battery powered one, but the boat's huge. It's going to take 100 batteries to do this. And yes, I know I can get 2 or 3 and charge them. By the time I bought all that, it was going to be close to $700. I have an extension cord. This was 50 bucks. We're going to go with that. Alright, this is before doing anything. I'm going to take one pass down the boat. I mean, yes, the side is shaded, so it's not going to be bright anyhow. Well, because it's not. Very unpolished. I'd like to just try to get some reference points. I mean, even this dull gel coat does have some shine when you're looking at it from an angle that may or may not come on camera. But I'm going to start in this section from the cleat to about right there and start with the coarse and not the extremes. I'm going to start with number 1, and per the instructions, we go pattern about 3x3 section until it flashes off and dried. Wipe any residue with a microfiber. So let's get to it. And once you see the results as the time lapse continues, the effort was 100% worth it. Sit back, enjoy, and let's watch the transformation. Again, I hope this comes out on camera. This is untouched, and this is with number 1 and number 2. For this bit of the time lapse, I'm just experimenting on how to best use the product, how much water to wet the pad with, and how big of an area I can go at one time before having to clean the pad. Next up, we're going to get the boat out of the water, so let's motor on over across the creek for the very short ride over to the travel lift and get it pulled out to continue polishing. Fortunately, everything went smoothly getting it out of the water, even though it was the first time lifting this boat. I had the bottom pressure washed and cleaned up the best I could, and then had the boat sat down on the blocks and stands. Okay, so let's dive right in. We're going to start the time lapse with me compounding and polishing the boat. And I'm going to go over a few things I've learned while having the opportunity to work with these products. First, we're going to start with the repair gloss compound, which is step number 1, and the appropriate pad. Now, there's a balance between keeping the pad wet enough to not heat up, but too wet that it's going to fling and make a mess everywhere. What I found worked best was actually just completely submerging the pad and wringing it out the best I could, and then letting the polisher fling the rest of the water off. And therefore, the pad would be wet enough to not heat up, but not so wet that it would make a giant mess. For the amount of product to apply, I did a few swirls on each of the applications on the pad. And then from there, I tried to do about a 3-foot by 3-foot section on the boat, as you'll see. As far as the pattern, I went up and down and side to side 3 times each for a total of 6 passes over one section. That netted really good results while keeping time management in check as well, because if you overdo a section, well, it's just going to cascade longer and longer throughout the boat, and then there's a slight risk of overdoing it to the point we're going to cut too much gel coat. For workflow, I started from the transom with the repair gloss compound, number 1, worked my way all the way forward to the bow. Then, since I already had the stands in place, I started working my way forward to aft with the step 3, the marine polish, which gives it that extra glossy shine with a little bit of protection in it as well. As I finish out the port side here, you can start to really see the shine on the bow. Very impressive, as this part of the video is only with the number 1 repair compound. I've yet to do the marine polish on this side. Working at the boatyard is always fun. We got the port side compounded stern to bow, and this is only the compound step 1 with the ProMaxx. Now this side, of course, has not been touched yet, so very pleased with how the boat's coming back around with the shine and how these products are working. All right, let's roll through the starboard side. I'm going to work my way forward with number 1 and come all the way back with number 3. I'm going to speed this up pretty darn fast. Watch me work, enjoy. Here's some music. Let's knock it out. coming to the end of the time lapse. The results speak for themselves. They do actually translate well on camera, which I wasn't sure if they would or not. But here we are, looking great.
That is a wrap on the polishing, at least for the paint to the rub rail and that bit right above the rub rail where the cleats are to the bow rail. All of that is done. Well, it's about to be. I just have to wipe off the remaining polish right there. That was 2 very full days going around the boat. But this thing was in rough shape relatively with all the chalk. And I hope this comes out on camera, but I can pretty clearly see a reflection now, which from what it was is pretty impressive and fantastic. I think going the extra step, going back with the number 3 polish at the end, so rolling with number 1, put it back upside down, it's almost empty, to number 3, which polish and sealant. And if I get to it, if the weather cooperates, I'm going to go back with number 2, which is primarily a sealant, wipe on, wipe off. But this has some sealant properties, so I'll do the best I can. I'm going to fight weather here this week, but overall, I got everything I wanted to done. Been a long 2 days doing polishing, but the boat is looking great. Very excited with how it's turned out, and we're going to take care of the running gear and a few other small things while we're out on the hard. And that'll be this week's. And we're going to take care of a few other small things out, and we're going to take care of a few other small things while we're out on the hard, but that will be this week's projects, and hopefully the rain will cooperate. I'm assuming that's a combination of polish and gel coat. Yikes. And I'll get under the boat here and do the running gear, as well as probably just do a quick Carolina job to make the bottom paint, water edge look really good. But I had the zincs definitely get chewed up pretty well in the 6 months it was in the water. They're not gone, but they're 50% gone maybe, so that's telling me they would last maybe a year. There was only 1 zinc on the shaft, so I'm going to put back 2. I mean, that unfortunately was some pitting right there on the strut. But overall, not too shabby. That's interesting. Just I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's a pit or someone dinged that. It's just 1 mark. The rest of it looks fine. But anyway, gonna put new zincs on. Gonna clean up all around the strut. Another future project is a little bit of slop in the rudders, which I'm guessing that's just a clevis pin to the tie bar, so I'll check that out, see if we can't get that tightened up. And the future project is to redo all the struts, rebed them, potentially replace them, and then the swim platform to come off the boat to be re-cored. But that is a very future project, so I wouldn't expect to see that for probably this time next year. But overall, pleased with the bottom and the zincs, and everything's done the job. This was interesting. I don't know if this will come out on camera, but right there's something pressing out against the hull. I'm gonna try to see what's going on in the engine room there. Portable air conditioning running. Good stuff. Gonna put that other anchor blocker drain on here in a minute. And geez, it's 6:30 on Sunday. I think it's the 10th, 11th, something like that. I'm pooped. Well, we've got a rainy, crappy, windy, wet day on the hard. I really want to lay in the mud or the pools of water underneath the boat, so doing at least something productive and getting part 2 of 3 into the dash. The upper dash came out fantastic after I was finally done with everything. You know, put these little screw cap covers on, and I think they look really nice there. Still got to do that, but small potatoes. Everything else is in, wired up, hooked up. I put some additional volt gauges in to watch the voltage with the keys off if I'm at anchor or whatever. I'm usually gonna have the generator on, but just in case, that's just another visual representation of what's going on. All this is looking good here. Cleaned up a lot of wiring and some connections, so now I actually get proper voltage reading, so that's a plus. This came out incredibly well from my poster board templating, which I don't think I got any of that on video, but I basically grabbed a couple sheets of poster board, folded, traced, cut, snipped to really fit this. The key line was here to get this to line up exactly with the original dash. Hold a nice gap as best as possible here, which you might be able to tell that this actually gets bigger or, you know, wider as it goes this way. This nice straight edge here at the top, of course, matches with this really well. The radiuses are very close. So this turned out great. I'm about to put the Garmin in for hopefully the last time, and the autopilot was right here, but I don't think I'm going to drill a hole in the acrylic. And working on this video that's you're watching right now, I realized how many times I screwed up plastic, plexiglass, acrylic, Lexan. This is acrylic. This is acrylic. Whoops. So this acrylic sheet is going to hold the Garmin for the time being. I think I'm going to just use one of the filler plates I made just to put the autopilot display back in here, because one, it doesn't work because I snapped everything from the Raymarine and all that gear, so I got it just stuck behind there. I'll pull that out and put that here, and I gotta find a manual for this guy and see if I can use the existing autopilot still. Worst case, I can get the Garmin ECU, CCU, and display and use the existing hydraulic pump. So that is an option as well. You know, I hate to just throw stuff away and buy new things, but technology ages out. There's better things out there, so on and so forth. And I typically stick with Garmin for everything. So if I do Garmin everything, it's probably just going to work better. So I'm going to try to get the existing autopilot to work again, just to have it and eventually do the Garmin stuff. So that's why I think I'm going to not put the Raymarine Simrad autopilot back in here, but I'll just put it here for the time being. So I'm going to take this back out, remove the protective covering, and commit this to the boat. The sad part is this will never look this good again. It's gonna get scratched over time, just like the original dashboard did. So enjoy it fresh and brand new for what it is right now, because it's never gonna look that good again. And that's, you know, I mean, if this is 25 years old, and I can clean it up, but it'll be fine. All right, well, that looks fantastic. And somebody tell me that this 9-inch screen is way too small and I should have one, you know, this big, because you're probably right. But for now, super happy with that. And I have this file in CAD. I can easily make another panel. I can easily have one reprinted. I can easily have one cut out to a bigger Garmin screen. And I mean, this thing shipped to the door was $55 from Send Cut Send. Yes, it took more time to model it and template and all this, but now I have it, and other people can get it too. If you have a Silverton 42, you can have a fancy custom dash like I did, because if you're like me, there's probably old electronics that were in the boat and you've got giant holes in the dash, and fiberglassing it in would be the right way, but it's the impractical way. Having nice dash panels cut and made to look factory and look really nice, that's my recommendation. If you can, hit that subscribe button for me for many more videos to come. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.